Hey, welcome back to More Cowbell, please. I'm Ainsley, your host. Today, Prince Mulla. He is a songwriter, producer, Bollywood producer. Listen to some of the vibes. I've actually put a lot more music in this episode than I normally do, and I think you're going to enjoy him. So he's got all kinds of stories about being a Christian in the industry in India. Yeah, 1.4 billion people. What a massive market. But also, he's a believer in a country where it's illegal to convert someone to Christianity. Now, next week, I have a guest by the name of Duncan Phillips. He is the drummer for Newsboys. The Newsboys are speaking out about the situation that happened with Michael Tate, their former lead singer. You're going to really want to hear their story. There's a lot more to this. He's going to answer a lot of the questions you've been asking. I may not get it done for next week. It's pretty intense. If not, we'll have something great for you next week. Hit the subscribe button. Don't miss out. All right, here we go. This is Prince Mulla. Prince, welcome to my studio. It is so good to have you here. I wanted to give my listeners something different, and you're something different for American, Australian, that where most of my listeners are.
Yeah.
I want to hear about your life. Just describe, like growing up, getting into music, how you got into it, what it's like for you in India, maybe some career highlights. I know nothing.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
I grew up in a Christian home, a pastor's son.
Oh, really?
My dad is a church pastor. I played the piano at church. I played the keyboard at church all my life. That's how I got into music. My mom used to play, there's an instrument called the harmonium. Have you heard of it?
Oh, love the harmonium.
Yeah. So my mom used to play the harmonium, and she kind of taught me a couple of things to play around, and then that's how I picked up the keyboard. All my life I played at church up until my school got over. My parents were kind of forcing me to study engineering or be a doctor or an engineer, and I didn't want to do any of those things. I wanted to do music. I said to my parents, I need to do music. I went down south to a place called Chennai. There was a music college. I studied music for a couple of years. And then I got into the Bollywood industry, where I started making music for Bollywood. I initially started playing as a keyboardist for a lot of Bollywood artists.
Wow.
And I used to travel with them, play the keys. I had my Ableton Live, all my tracks ready, and then, set up and then just gig. So I did a lot of fusion gigs. I did a lot of Bollywood gigs. Fusion meaning we have the sitar, the tabla, and the keys, stuff like that. So I did all those stuff.
Now tell me about crowd sizes. Like what do those gigs look like?
We have all range of crowd, because India is a big country. We have 1.4 billion people. The last worship concert I did, I had 500,000 people.
Amazing.
Worship Crusade, I partnered with a pastor named Duncan. He's doing some incredible stuff in India. 500,000 people showed up for the last day, and
it's amazing.
It was a sea of human beings.
How do you even handle logistics of PA and it?
India is just used to figuring it out, We don't calculate, we don't strategize, we just figure it out. Add some more PA to it, Crowds, all kinds of crowds. We have small, we have 60 people to 100 people to even 500,000, as I said. So that's the kind of people we have, yeah.
So tell me about Bollywood, though. Like, that sounds fascinating. What did that look like? When you say you were touring with it, are you talking about like just playing on the films, or are you talking about actually like doing live touring concerts?
I did both.
So
I started as a touring pianist and a keyboardist. So I used to play with a lot of Bollywood singers. So in India, we don't have industry where they have their albums out and the album is a big hit. It's just Bollywood music. Even if you're an artist and you put an album out, nobody would listen to it unless it's not through a Bollywood film. So there's no alternative industry. That's what we call independent industry. The independent industry doesn't exist. It does exist, but there's no economics to it. There's no money. There's no business around it. But Bollywood industry has a lot of money, has a lot of business around it. So if you want to be famous, you got to be through the Bollywood industry. So that's how I started off. I started playing the keyboard. Eventually, I started programming and arranging for music directors. So how these directors do is they kind of put a tune and they send you the voice note. And then they say, hey, Prince, can you make an arrangement for it and send it to me? Let me see how it figures. But it will be his name on the song and the bunch of us producing songs for him. So I did that for quite some time.
Would you say that you got a lot of notoriety through doing that? Like you raised a profile that was beyond the church circle
That's
by
right.
doing that.
That's right. The only reason I wanted to do it is because I was clear with my faith. I knew where I belonged, and things that were not about Christ, or it was not Christ-centric, I refrained from doing it. I refrained from doing songs that were from other religions, or chants or Hindu songs. I completely refrained from doing all those stuff. I'm clearly sold out to making good music, clean music. Any vulgarity, anything that is having abusive text, abusive context, that's something that I refrain. That I have it all on my clause, on my contract.
Is that right? Okay. You were still able to work even with that.
I lost a lot of work. It's not easy, but people who are like-minded kind of connect eventually. The growth is not as fast as you want it to be, but it's not bad either. So I started off my career with Bollywood music. Then I slowly pivoted to making ads, because that kind of gets you a lot of money. So I started making ads and jingles for all these commercials that come on television. And then 2014, I came to Mumbai. I was in Chennai until then. I came to Mumbai. And in Mumbai, God kind of spoke to me and said, start writing songs. So I started writing a lot of gospel songs, Christian songs. I was not a writer until then. I was not a singer until then. I was a keyboardist until then. I didn't think I could sing or I could even write a song. But then I wrote one song, which kind of blew off, and then the whole nation started singing it. And I never released it till date, but there are about 200-300 covers on YouTube, people singing it across the country.
This is a Christian song?
Christian faith-based song. But it really got famous in the church, and people started singing it, and I never released it. And that kind of gave me some strength and courage to write more songs. And I wrote my second song, which I never released again, called Shukrada. That took off. Eventually, I started figuring out that I could write more and more songs. So I started writing more faith-based songs. That became my core passion. I started writing songs more so for myself and not for corporate worship, but for private worship. Because in my low time, in my darkest times, the only thing that takes me out is me worshipping. So me being in the piano and just singing it out. My dad and my mom, they are prayer warriors. You know, they sit for hours together just praying and praying and praying. I can't do that. I can't sit for hours. I get frustrated. It's too boring for me, you know. And then I didn't know if I was doing it wrong. So I had this guilt all along. Oh, they're praying and you don't pray. Look at them. They're such prayer warriors. And look at you. You're not a prayer warrior.
Yeah.
And then eventually God gave me this gift where I could express my prayer through songs. I started taking the piano and if I'm feeling low, I just tell God, God, I'm feeling low today, you know. And if I want to just adore Him, Lord, you're so beautiful, you're so kind, you're so wonderful. All through my songs, I started making melodies. That's how songwriting happened for me, and God kind of built it up.
Even though you said those lyrics in English, when you're thinking, you're not thinking in English.
No, I know 7 languages. India is, every state has multiple languages. I write my songs mostly in Hindi. That's a widely known language in India.
That is the official language, is it not?
It's not.
It's not?
Official language is, there are, I think, 26 official languages.
26 official languages?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Hindi is the most widely known language. Down south, people don't speak Hindi at all.
Is that right?
Yeah, and they take offense if you speak in Hindi because they want to promote their language. I'm from South. I know a lot of southern languages. I also know Hindi. And my dad speaks Urdu. I understand Urdu and I can play around with Urdu language.
Where does English fit?
English is kind of a safe zone language where everyone can converse with each other. And if they don't know each other's language, they pivot to speaking English.
So tell me about India. You said there's 1.4 billion people. What percentage were Christian in India then?
According to the census, we are about 2% of Christians, 2.5, 3. But I think that's we are way more above because the government really doesn't want to show that we are a bigger crowd than what it is. That's not just Christians, it's the case with every minority community. Minority is Muslims, Christians, and there's a bunch of other religions that come under minority in India. The majority is Hindus, that's about 86% of Hindus. But the rest of them are different religions here and there. Even if it's 2%, it's a big audience. It's a very big audience.
I understood that proselytizing someone, converting someone from one religion to another is illegal in India.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
That's correct. government is coming across very strongly and sternly against conversion, religious conversion, telling them that, hey, you are a Hindu, and they're trying to protect people from the religion so that there's not much conversion happening. So they're putting laws in each state and saying that, hey, anybody who converts would be imprisoned for so and so years. And if you...
The person who converted, not the person who did the proselytizing, or both?
It's just the person who initiated the conversion, who asked them to convert.
So the person who converted is not punished?
There could be a certain punishment for the person who converted. You know what happens is, just to make it a little more dramatic, India, the news people say that, hey, they paid them to get converted, and all these stuff just gets added along. But most of it is not true. Some of them are, some of them could be true, some of them might not be true. But there's a lot of stuff that the government does just to showcase that, hey, there's a bunch of bad people trying to convert Hindus into Christians, So it's in every country. It's not just India, it's media overall. So, but where we as Christ followers, I tell people I'm not a Christian. They're like, oh, you're not a Christian? No. Because the moment I say I'm a Christian, the first thing is, oh, are you Protestant or are you Catholic? And they go to the tree, and then I need to speak about religious divisions, right? I don't get into that. I said, you're not a Christian. I said, no, I'm not a Christian. Who are you then? I'm a Christ follower. I love Jesus. I love this man, Jesus. Who is he that talks about my salvation, my faith? I don't care what religion is on paper, but I care who I belong to. I belong to Jesus. My heart belongs to Jesus. My prayer belongs to Jesus. My walk belongs to Jesus. So I kind of get off the whole religious divisions that the world creates, and I speak about my faith to this man, Jesus, to this God, Jesus, who is my author and my finisher, right? So that's how I portray, and it's pretty easy. You can be any religion, but Jesus is your Lord,
You're saying that they could be a Christ follower but still stick within a certain cultural group?
If you accept Jesus, they don't care. That's where the young generation is rising up and saying that, I don't care if I'm from this certain background, if I'm Muslim or Hindu, but my faith, my trust belongs to Jesus. People are kind of opening up their brains and eyes to understanding that it's not about what they are written on book or stone, where their devotion belongs to. Even though that's the case, they still have persecution. A lot of small village churches are getting stoned, pelted, pastors are getting beaten up. That happens across India. But there's also the good side where we don't get beaten up. We just don't want to highlight persecution as much to make it a story.
How did you get 500,000 people and not get in trouble?
In India, there's the right wing and the left wing. That state was not aligned to the right wing. That is the whole Hindu promotion. That state was pretty liberal compared to the other states. The government kind of didn't put barricades around our event. They didn't put any problems. Otherwise, they would send cops. They would have people come over and stop our event. So that state was kind of liberal, and it kind of gave us some space to play around. And 500,000 people showed up.
That is an interesting perspective. I'm sure some of my listeners will be like, do what? Do you feel like Christianity is growing? Is it having a big effect? I say Christianity, following Jesus.
Yeah, I think it is a huge impact, because we serve a living God, and you can't hide it. You can't hide the fact that this God is real. It's not just a story 2,000 years ago. It's not a historic understanding. It's not mythology. It's relationship. You can't convert a person. Imagine you're a Muslim and I'm a Christian, and we have a heated argument. And by the end of the argument, I win. And you would never come up to me and say, hey, Prince, you won. Let me be a Christian from now on. You would not do that. The only way you can be a Christian is through an encounter with Christ. Unless he doesn't enter your heart, not your brain, not your head, but your heart, you can never be a Christian. So the idea that God is speaking to people, people are getting impact, they are seeing miracles, they're seeing healings, their lives are getting transformed. You can't run away from reality. You can't run away from the truth. The truth will set you free. That's what the word says. Yeah. And the truth is setting them free. So when they see that freedom in Christ, they're running towards it. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Okay, I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk about the music. As a missionary's kid, I think one of the big lessons my parents learnt and taught me was differentiating that relationship with Jesus versus culture. Yeah. My parents worked for a mission in the 60s.
Wow.
Where the idea was they all had to wear Western clothes, sing hymns in English, and it was But you guys are changing the game because you are doing your own organic worship and praise music
Yeah.
in your own languages. Is this something that's been growing for years, or is it a fairly new movement?
I think Christ and faith has been there for years. It's certain places. It's not as rigid as how we showcase in the West. India has been persecuted. India is a poor country. That's the kind of image that Christians across the world have about India. But there's a lot of free movement of faith happening, free exercise of faith happening. The most interesting part is that different cultures have different backgrounds on the way they look at Christ. If you go down south, they're more expressive. The worship is more jubilant. They're just jumping around, claps, chatter, dance. And if you go up north and go to some places, it's just more standstill. But there's a lot of heart-to-heart conversations with God. But there's different kinds. Culturally, contextually, faith is arising in different parts of India. And music is so different in each of these places. The way worship is understood is very different. And what we are trying to do as worship leaders and worship songwriters, trying to create a unified sound for the nation. And you're a big part of it. And thank you for all that you've been doing.
I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. Bollywood is national, right? I mean, those songs are national.
That's correct.
You're doing Christian music that is national.
That's correct. Hindi music is not as widely accepted across every state, right? But it's a big part of India. Hindi music kind of is the top chart, and then comes the southern music. I do Hindi music and Hindi worship, as you know, and that is really taking a lot of shape in India. The sound that we're trying to create, the Indian and the Western fusion sound, that is really connecting with a lot of people across India. Because in Indian music, there's no concept of harmony. Indian music, in the core of it, never teaches you harmony. It only teaches you the main vocals to sing it in different styles and different formats. So a lot of Indian musicians probably might not have an ear for harmony. So if I sing, they might not be able to sing a third or a fifth. They struggle doing that. And even if they sing a harmony, the pitch sense might not be right because they look at it as a melody and not a harmony. And they sing it like a melody, so it kind of clashes and it just messes up the whole thing. If you see Indian music as an origin, you might not see a lot of harmony and a lot of chords. You might not see that happening. But when in the last 20, 30 years, India has kind of taken shape, and now they're getting used to good chords, good harmonies, good melodies. And there's a lot of fusion happening with the Western harmonies and chords coming in, and the Indian shululus and the whole variations coming in. There's a lot of blend happening together with all the Indian instrumentation. So that's the kind of music we are in currently. Worship music that we are trying to create is somewhere similar to that, you know?
Yeah.
The whole Indian blend with the Western harmony coming in. Yeah.
Oh, and I absolutely love it. Would you say that Western music has a big influence, especially in younger generations?
Absolutely.
Because, all the borders are breaking down with the internet.
We grew up listening to American music, pop music, Michael Jackson to you name it, Queens to, Elvis Presley.
Does the average teenager, they all have smartphones?
Yeah. In India, everybody has. I mean, most of them have smartphones, but there's a lot of poverty as well. There's a huge section of people that don't have access to internet and phones.
Right.
But it's a balance of the two. If you go to any city, you will see a tall building with like 50 floors and right next to it a slum area. So in every city you can live any lifestyle you want. You can live in a house that is extremely cheap, or you can live in a fancy house that's extremely expensive. So you have that balance of the two in every city. And usually what happens is the guys who live in these high rises kind of hire all these guys to be drivers and maids and cooks, and that's how the whole economics in India work.
The biggest slum in Asia can be found in the heart of Mumbai. The Dharavi slums, 1 million people crammed into just under 1 square mile. A population density 20 times higher than that of Paris. The electricity grid is precarious. Water is only available 2 hours per day. And the sewage system is non-existent.
Something my parents told me, and I'm curious to hear what you think about this. Changing your station or your status in life. Yeah. Like in the West, it's upwardly mobile. Everybody go out, be an entrepreneur. Opportunity is yours. But My parents tried to give some money to somebody that worked for them when they left, and he wouldn't take it because he said, no, this is my station in life. I'm meant to be a gardener. This is, my family did this. This is, and this will change my status and the gods will be angry with me.
Yeah. So there's a lot of oppression that primarily comes from caste system. India is divided by many castes. And in Hinduism also, there's a lot of castes. You belong to the lower caste, you belong to the upper caste. And one of the songs that we are writing is, I don't belong to any caste, but we belong to the bloodline of Jesus.
That's fantastic.
In the Bible, it says, neither Jews or Gentiles, no male or female, everyone is one in the blood of Christ, right? That's one of the songs that we're writing together. And I think you'll be mixing that song too. So that's a big hurdle in India. In the cities, people are completely free. They can go do anything they want. They can be entrepreneurs. But if you go down to rural villages in the hardcore land, caste system exists, dowry exists, to women kind of being at home and girls not being given all education, the men given education. If a girl child is born, people frown upon, they're not too happy about it. That's in the villages, but not in the cities. Cities are pretty modern, pretty neutral. Even though they are very neutral, internally, people kind of have that thing, oh, I belong to this caste, I belong. They don't speak it aloud, but they kind of position, oh, which caste are you from? Oh, you're that caste. It's just an understanding, especially,
You have to ask somebody, it's not obviously or apparent when you're speaking to somebody what caste they're from.
It could be apparent sometimes. Sometimes it couldn't be in cities because everybody dresses up, same. But in the villages, it's very obvious the way you dress, the way you walk around, the people you speak with. In cities, it might not be. But the moment you know, also your names, your surnames denote what caste you belong to.
This is your first trip to America.
That's true.
What are the first things you've observed or the things that have shocked you? Anything?
Cultural shock? Not really. I've seen so much about America in movies.
Right.
That kind of is what I expected. But I think it's just people drive in lanes here. It's so good to see people driving in lanes. in India, you would have a donkey or a horse or a cow come right under your tires.
Oh, yeah. I mean, for a Westerner going to India, it's the other way around. It's like, where am I supposed to drive?
The other day we were driving and I saw we were in a lane and there was a traffic and we were about 10 cars behind and there was 10 cars right ahead of us. And there was so much space on the left. I was like, why don't you just go through the left? And he's like, no, I can't. That's a different lane.
As Americans, we often think that nobody obeys the rules.
Yeah.
But you just have to go to India.
You have to go to India.
And then you'll go, oh, yeah, we really stick with it.
You know what we do? If you're stuck in traffic and there's space on footpath, we just drive up the footpath and take your car from the footpath and figure it out.
Here you will get a ticket. You'll be arrested or something.
Yeah.
I always love to find individual story testimonials of people that have been affected by your music.
Yeah. One of the stories that I have is there's a song called Zinda. Zinda, Zinda, Yeshu, Zinda, which means Zinda means alive. Alive, alive, Jesus is alive. It's as simple as that. I get a call from Pakistan. One pastor from Pakistan called me and he said, hey Prince, did you write this song Zinda? I said, yes, I did write this song. We've been singing and we love your song. I said, thank you, Pastor. He said, did you know there was this church which was bombed by terrorists? During church service, a couple of terrorists walked in and they detonated themselves and they blew themselves up and the whole church exploded.
Officials say more than 80 people were killed in Sunday's bombings. Over 140 were wounded.
I fell down and my daughter, who was in my lap, died in front of me.
The attack happened as church service was letting out. A pair of suicide bombers blew themselves up just as hundreds of worshippers were coming out of a historic church in Peshawar to get a free meal. A spokesman for a wing of the Pakistani Taliban immediately claimed responsibility.
That was their sister church that got bombed. So this pastor and the whole church went to the debris of where the church was lying and they held hands and sang the song Zinda, Zinda, Yeshu Zinda. And he told me about that story and I was in tears because standing on debris of people who laid their lives and martyrs for Christ, 120 people, and just declaring that even though this happens, Jesus, you are King and you are alive, we believe. Yeah. Another song that I wrote, I was in Chennai, I was down south in Chennai. I moved to Mumbai and the first year was extremely lonely for me. In Chennai, I had so many friends. And artists, you need to feed on encouragement, right? If somebody, hey, Prince, you're good, you're doing good. That's kind of your fodder. But there, in Mumbai, there was not a single soul looking at me or talking about my music or anything like that. And I felt extremely lonely. One night, I sat on my piano and I sang the song, Gale Lagale. Gale Lagale means, Lord, I need a hug. I love physical hugs, right? I'm a hugger.
You're a hugger.
I'm a hugger, yeah. So I Lord, I need a hug. The next thing is, I see this angel coming down, opening his wings and covering me. And I started crying. And I kept singing this song. Gale Lagale, Gale Lagale, Eh Khuda, Gale Lagale. Give me a hug, give me a hug. My father, give me a hug. It's as simple as that, right? Kept singing, and tears rolling down my eyes. And I sang it all night, about 2 hours, 3 hours. And that day on, I never felt lonely. Because my loneliness was filled by people, and God kind of filled that void with His presence from that day on.
Wow.
And I realized that I don't need humans to fill my loneliness, I need God. And God took that place and He took authority over my life. And I said this story to somebody and I sang the song. This song just took off. And somebody sent a video of 750 pastors in a pastors' conference on their knees singing the song for 6 hours. Because all they needed was a hug. They needed a hug from the Father. They don't need assurance. They don't need a solution. They don't need money. They don't need a plan. They don't need a strategy. They need a hug, a comfort, a father's touch, a father's embrace. And that's what we sang about. And so there's so many stories I can share about all these songs.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. There's one thing I did when I moved to Mumbai in 2016. I put out a video with 100 people singing with me. I sang this song, a Bollywood song called Love You Zindagi, which means love you life. I love you life. And it's a Bollywood song by a well-known director. And that video went viral. And in 2018, I took these 100 people. You know how you have America's Got Talent? Called India's Got Talent. I took it to India's Got Talent. And eventually, we were the joint winners of the show. We won the show along with another guy. And then 2020, along with my co-producers, we thought we should do something bigger. So we had 1,000 people come together. And we put up a concert with 600 singers, 250 guitarists, about 60-80 drummers. And we got the Guinness Book of World Records for it. Now we're on to the next mission. Something bigger is going to come soon.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
The thing you're doing now is Nations of Worship.
That's correct.
Or is that like one of the things you're involved in?
One of the things I do.
It's one of the things you're involved in?
My life is divided into 3 things. I do ministry. In ministry comes Nations of Worship, me traveling and worshipping and leading songs across the churches and country and places in India. The second is me as an artist, working in Bollywood or producing songs for nations or whatever it is, as a producer, right? And the third part is I run a couple of businesses. So I do music education in schools, where we teach music and dance to about 200,000-300,000 kids every day. And so that keeps me going, that keeps my money rolling, so that I don't have to make worship my business. I want to keep it pure, because the moment you put money to worship, it's no more about God, it's all about money. So I took money out of worship and I kept worship as authentic as it can be. So,
wow. Well, that's... Those who are listening need to hear that, because I love that. I was shocked when I got here and people are paid to play on Sunday at church and everything, and I'd never experienced that before. So
the moment you put a financial number to worship, it kind of becomes a work and not a prayer to God or a service to God. I mean, as much as you want to be authentic about it, you can't.
It's difficult, I think, because some of these worship artists, how are they supposed to live? It's a huge debate.
I think striking a fine balance between being authentic about your service to God and knowing that God is your provider, because the word says He is your provider. You also need to be, there's shrewd as a serpent, innocent as a dove, that verse in the Bible, but you need to be shrewd to know how to make your money as well.
Have you ever heard of an artist called Rich Mullins?
No.
He wrote a song called Awesome God. Yeah. Our God is an awesome.
Oh, wow, yeah.
You know that song?
Yeah.
Obviously that is a huge song worldwide. He earned a lot of money and he felt really uncomfortable about it. So he had his accountant only pay him the average that the people in his band made.
Oh, wow.
And so he limited his own personal income and he gave the rest away to charities. There's a fantastic model if you want to take money out of the scenario. Just make what the average band makes.
Yeah.
And then you can do that, and that takes the motivation out. Because he said straight up, I will become addicted to this.
Yeah. Also, there's two ways to go about it. There are a couple of places where they want to promote something about their mission, their vision, and they have money for it, right? And you can always charge them. You can always send them an invoice and make money out of it. But there are places where they said, hey, Prince, we need to speak about Christ here. I don't have money. But I feel the Lord telling me to just, that's where you don't look at money. He said, don't worry, we're coming. That's the discernment you need to have. That's the Holy Spirit's job, Yeah.
Christian music artists in India, is there much of a scene? Are there record labels? Is everything just basically independent?
It's all independent. There's no industry around it. There's no finances around it. A lot of the worship leaders don't charge any money. They just go and say, hey, I'm here, just use me. Even if you charge, there's a lot of pastors don't agree with it. Hey, this guy's coming over. He asked me so much money. I can't pay him. Look at him. He's got ego. Kind of a stigma there, Oh, how dare he charges me? I mean, he's a servant of God. It's not a business at all in India right now. I mean, there's not much money in job. They would barely cover your costs.
It really sorts out who's doing it for the right reason. Prince, it's been so awesome to have you. I'm a handshake guy at the end. You're a hugger. We'll get a hug on the way out. So thank you, bro.
Thank you so much.
You're a blessing to me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I hope you're inspired by that episode. Prince Muller inspires me. I love the music they're doing. Check out their channel. It's called Nations of Worship on YouTube. They've got a bunch of videos, kind of Bollywoody videos with really different elements over some of the songs you may know. Some are even in English. So anyway, hit the subscribe button. You're not going to want to miss out on the Duncan Phillips episode from the Newsboys Band. It's coming soon. All right, remember to put good things in your ear holes. Over and out.